Flag and AM1100theflag.com. First of the news when you need to know.
They are detectives, investigators, school resource officers and deputies, state attorneys, jail chaplains, beat cops, and canine handlers. They are the honorees of the Luther Family Ford Salute to Law Enforcement. Everyone at Luther Family Ford says thank you to the men and women who protect and serve our community. They deserve our support, our encouragement, and our thanks. So thank you to all of you who protect and serve us. From Luther Family Ford and AM 1100 The Flag, WZFG.
Finger pointing over nuclear threats. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House accusing Russia's president of irresponsible rhetoric, threatening to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, but also emphasizing they don't consider that to be an imminent threat after President Biden talked about Armageddon last night. Hours before the president's remarks yesterday, the Pentagon spokesman, Brigadier General Pat Ryder, criticized Russia's nuclear saber-rattling as reckless.
Yesterday here at the Pentagon, before President Biden made the remarks, Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder called the nuclear saber-rattling from Moscow reckless and irresponsible, adding the U.S. government does not have any information that would cause the Pentagon to change its strategic deterrence posture.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky tells the BBC he thinks President Putin is trying to numb the Russian public.
They begin to prepare their society. That is very dangerous. They are not ready to do it, to use it, but they begin to communicate.
Zelensky, meantime, announcing that his forces have reclaimed more than 900 square miles in eastern Ukraine. Earlier today, the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to a jailed activist in Belarus and human rights groups in Russia and Ukraine, helping to document war crimes. The battle for Congress heading into the home stretch.
Republicans take control of the Congress. These historic victories we just won for the American people are going to be taken away. Every kitchen table cost is going to go up, not down.
President Biden at a Volvo plant in Maryland rejecting Republican criticism that his policies are hurting the middle class and fueling the highest inflation in decades. The jobs report for September stronger than expected, 263,000 jobs created, adding pressure to the Fed's inflation fight, sending stocks sliding. The Dow drops 630. America is listening to Fox News.
Missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Mainly clear throughout this evening with wind turning out of the west-southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour. We'll see clear to partly cloudy skies continue throughout tonight with low temperatures dipping down towards 33 degrees and will warm into the mid-60s on your Saturday. Mostly sunny with increasing clouds throughout the day and a west wind around 5 to 15. Breezy on Sunday, partly cloudy. Highs are closer to 60. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Today's weather is brought to you by Summit Carbon Solutions. The ethanol industry is critical for the North Dakota economy and our farmers. Summit Carbon Solutions is opening new economic opportunities for ethanol producers and helping maintain a strong market for corn growers while generating millions of dollars in new property taxes to help local communities support our schools and hospitals. Visit summitcarbonsolutions.com to learn how this project is driving the future of agriculture in North Dakota.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
Mark my words, the Democrats in Minnesota are sweating They are sweating. The Minnesota AG Keith Ellison out campaigning with Defund the Police. Elon Omar earlier today. Also, he called up his buddy, socialist Bernie Sanders. Like, hey, Bernie, man, this race is getting tight. This race is getting tight, Bernie. I need you to come in. I need you to rally the troops. I need you to do whatever you got to do to help pull me across the finish line. That is how much people are sweating right now in Minnesota. Recent poll came out, got Minnesota AG Keith Ellison up over Jim Schultz by only 2 points. Only 2 points. Jim Schultz is going to join us in just a few moments here, so we'll get a chance to visit with him, but he's got a great message around, obviously, the crime that is happening throughout Minnesota, predominantly within Minneapolis. And then remember the Feeding Our Future situation. You had all the $250 million of fraud, and Keith Ellison didn't really do too much about that. If you want to call into the show and share your point of view on anything we discussed today, please do so. The number is 701 271 1100, 701 271 1100. It's Friday. We're going to do kind of like the Rush Limbaugh Open Phones Friday if you want to. But there's also a lot to discuss that we'll dive into. And if you want to email into the show, it's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Studio@chrisbergshow.com. All right, before we get into the Minnesota AG situation and what's going on with some of the polling there, I just have to say thank you. Thank you to Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. They are putting the Democrats on point, on notice. I'm sure you remember the story about Martha's Vineyard where Ron DeSantis sent, 48 illegal immigrants up to Martha's Vineyard. They brought in the army to get these people out of Martha's Vineyard as soon as possible. 48 of them. Now, the New York City mayor has called a state of emergency. The New York City mayor has called a state of emergency because of the number of influx of refugees coming into the Big Apple. I mean, how big is the Big Apple these days? 8, 10 million? Wait till you hear these numbers, right? And then think about this for a moment. Right now in Texas, because the governor has declared, and he's literally said, look, this is an invasion of our nation. It's an invasion of our nation. They are now having 7,000. These are just the ones we know about. 7,000 illegal immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers showing up at the border every single day in Texas. Now, as you know, we always defer to you on the show. This is a show that you and I get to co-create every single day, and that's what makes it special. It makes it a unique experience. So we want to get to the phone lines. Again, if you want to call into the show, it's very easy to do. 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Let's go to Adam on line one. Adam, welcome to the show. What's your point of view, sir?
Yes, sir. I made a comment on the show this morning, What's on Your Mind, with the senator, and I asked him what the actual cost was to transport these guys and house them and all that stuff. But he said he'd get back with us this next weekend and come up with a number. But also I want to say Hillary proved that the polls are never even close. And that's all I had to say.
You know, Adam, thank you very much. Bob said the same thing yesterday, and I would concur with that typically. But look, these polls, who knows, right? Who knows? The only reason that I am bringing this poll back into the conversation today, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get to it before we bring in Jim Schultz, the GOP AG candidate, is the fact that all I know is that if Keith Ellison, I mean, he literally had to pick up the phone and go, hey, Bernie, like this, I'm starting to sweat. Otherwise you don't bring Bernie Sanders into the state, right? You don't make that phone call and ask Bernie Sanders to come stump for you unless you're sweating. And when you see polls coming out that are within 2 points, he's starting to sweat because he's also changing his messaging. He's starting to talk a lot more about crime and safety in Minnesota. Jim Schultz has been pounding that message, and that's why it's been effective. He's been starting to turn some of the other demographics according to the polls. And so, Adam, you're right. Who knows? All I know is when you're out there with Elon Omar and Bernie Sanders, you're sweating. We got him, John. We're good. Thank you. If you want to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Adam brings up a good point about what it costs to ship some of these migrants to New York City. And the way I see that, I mean, it's like, I keep sharing with you, like, for some of you, you're going to be like, Berg, come on. That's just so out of the realm. I'm never going to do that. All I can say is when you look at the invasion, I mean, we've had 7 million people flee Venezuela since 2014. Now, what am I getting at? Espero hables español. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, it is important that you at least maybe know a little bit because the flood is coming at some point. And I've been wanting to talk about this all week, and I just have not had enough bandwidth because the show is only an hour. But I'm going to touch on it quickly here just to give you an idea to plant the seed. Then we'll get to what the New York City mayor said about the numbers here. But I think it's really important for you to know two things. Number one, Democrats have lost 21 points in the last 10 years within the Latino demographic, the voting bloc. Right. At one point, there was like a 41, 42 point spread about, hey, Latinos think that Democrats should run Congress. That's now down to like 21, 22 points. So finally, and I've been saying this now for years, finally the GOP's begin to message to the Hispanic Latino population and say, hey, you want to live the American dream? You want to restore family values? You want to have a restoration to the foundation of this nation with your family? GOP is the place to be. I'm not even so sure that's true anymore because it's kind of a uniparty, but the message is starting to finally get through. Now, the good news for you and I is that as soon as the Democrats realize, oh my gosh, these people are going to actually go out there and vote GOP, the border is going to get locked down in a heartbeat. I mean, that thing's going to have a wall built like 90 miles high. Nobody's getting in here as soon as they start flipping the script on the vote and start voting GOP. Now, the other piece of this is obviously the economics. Every time we talk about polling data or what really matters to families, they always say in politics, it's the economy, right? It's the economy, stupid. Wasn't that Carville's line? This is astonishing. This is exactamente por qué estudiando español ahora. Right now, just the U.S. Latinos alone, I'm not even talking about all Latin America, just in the United States, Latinos are the third or fourth fastest growing GDP in the last 10 years. The Latino, just in the United States, GDP alone is $2.8 trillion. I mean, the numbers are just staggering. And when you look at how much Latinos are now starting businesses, small business owners, I think like 20 or 25% here in the United States, small businesses ran by Latinos, Hispanics. So it is the wave. So you can either just sort of watch the wave go by or you can jump on and go for a ride. It's up to you, however you want to go about doing that. All right, let's get to the phone calls again. Number 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Stephen, welcome to the show. What's your point of view?
Is it Steve?
Yes, Steve. How are you, sir?
Yeah. I'm combining. This summer we had an illegal immigrant, come out of a cornfield and spooked a bunch of us. And he was looking for food and stuff, and I thought, we found all information out. He said he'd been in America trying to get to New York. He'd been here for 2 years, but how could you get in the middle of North Dakota, survive 2 winters, and not make any progress?
Wow. Did you call the police or border, or like, did anybody come and help you with this person?
He was quite polite because he was hungry. We got some food for him, and he said he lost his green papers. Well, we know he didn't have them, anything. So, but who knows? I mean, they took him back to Fargo, and then they dealt with him. We heard then he was dealing with another day. He just walked away from the, facility that they dropped him off at, and just went back out in the country because nothing they could do.
This might sound like an ignorant question, but was he Hispanic, Latino, or another ethnicity?
The neighbor thought he was probably just from Mexico. When I pulled up and I go, no, I think he's from further south. And they found out he was from Honduras, I believe.
Wow. Did he speak any English?
no English. The neighbor's wife was a school teacher and had an acquaintance who taught Spanish classes, so they used her as a translator.
Stephen, thank you so
right
much.
Here in Cass County.
Thank you for the phone call. I mean, wait for a second, Stephen. Stay with me. So were you combining at the time, or you just out in the field, maybe checking?
No. It was just this summer. Just this summer, we were kind of just taking it easy, doing things, and this guy come up on him.
And he just popped out of you like your cornfield?
Yeah.
Stephen, great phone call. Thank you so much. I can't even imagine. You're just like, thank you, sir.
We need to have our border secure, but we all we do is talk about it, and nothing gets done.
Totally agree.
So, inept people that we have as leaders.
Yes, very well said. The inept leaders that we have. And this is why, again, I mentioned that. And I bring up some of these numbers because, number one, it's just where things are at. I think it's important to understand the wave that's coming within the Latino and Hispanic population. But also, like I mentioned, as you see the numbers start to change for Congress and for votes and whatnot, just trust me. We all know the politics of this deal. As soon as they start voting GOP, that border is going to get locked down so fast. But Stephen, great phone call. I can't imagine you're, out and about in your field.
Those people probably do need help, but who's helping them when they're dying from traveling across the deserts and all that? Who's trafficking these people? Who's participating in this crap?
Yes, and that's the thing. It's the cartels. I mean, Stephen said it very well. It's the inept. John, we're good, my friend. It's the ineptitude of the leadership when you look at not only the trafficking that's taking place. I mean, I could read from you a story here from the people that are coming up from Venezuela. We all know, obviously, the tragedy if someone's coming up from Honduras or the Northern Triangle. I mean, I don't want to get into it because it's so hard to fathom. I mean, you hear stories about parents, basically selling their kids for $40 because they want them to come up to America for the American dream. And it's because of the policies. We've talked about this before. I don't blame the immigrants. I mean, heck, if I was in Honduras or El Salvador, actually, I don't know. I kind of like the new president of El Salvador, but, back in the day when you've got all that gang and violence and corruption, and then you hear, hey, all you got to do is get through this border and you've got free healthcare, free education. They're going to give you food. Of course, you're going to make that trek. So it's not the immigrants' problem. It's the policy problem that we have. And then you've got people that are allowing fentanyl into the country, and the cartels making just a ton of money trafficking people. When you dive into those numbers, it is really, really sad that the United States is not doing more to stop it. But they want the one hemisphere. All right, when we come back, boy, we didn't even get to some of the AG stuff at all. When we come back, he is running for AG in the great state of Minnesota, Attorney General Jim Schultz. On the GOP ticket, he is making Keith Ellison sweat. He's going to explain why when we come back right here on The Chris Berg Show.
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better. PetroServe USA. Call today.
Give us a call at 701-566-8755 or go online at labormasters.net. Labor Masters, the quality, reliable help you need today.
Career politicians have pushed America to the point of no return. I'm Rick Becker running for U.S. Senate, and I aim to change that. To save America, we need to end the status quo. We need someone who will put the people ahead of special interest groups, who will stand firm against burdening our children with more debt, take down bureaucrats like Dr. Fauci, and someone who will fight against the left's crazy culture war. Vote for me for U.S. Senate, and together we will fix this mess. I'm Rick Becker, running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Both Mike Huckabee and Donald Trump agree. You need to read Dick Morris's new book. It's called The Return, and it's already topping bestseller lists. Former President Trump says it's a great book and urges you to get it. And Mike Huckabee recently urged every American to read The Return. In The Return, Dick Morris explains why Trump, not DeSantis, must be the candidate in 2024. He even reveals the moves Hillary Clinton is taking to prepare to run against Trump. The Return reveals Trump's secret plan to win. Newsmax says The Return is the political book of the year. The elections are coming soon. Find out why everyone is getting The Return, an Amazon #1 bestseller. Get Dick Morris's The Return in bookstores everywhere, or check out the free offer from Newsmax and save $28. Just call 800-NEWSMAX. That's 800-NEWSMAX. Or go to thereturn911.com to get your copy today. Thereturn911.com.
As kids, we hear it all the time. We do it because we love you. It's called tough love.
Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. We know that you love your boots, but have a tough time showing it. Now through October 22nd, show your boots some love and receive 15% off all care items. And if you showed your boots a little too much tough love, receive $20 off a new pair. Stop into our Tough Love event now through October 22nd at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
From the kennel to the coop, whatever the season, Fleet Farm has everything to keep your animals happy and healthy. From training your pup to sit season, to mastering those retrieval skills season. From clipping your horse for competition season, to keeping the backyard birds well-fed season. And of course, loving your pets like family season. There's a reason people say, if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it. Because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
Nothing like a little Prince here on a feel-good Friday. A little I would die for you. Love that song. Thank you very much for that, John. Yes, it is a feel-good Friday here on the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Libertad. We're going to start doing the show in Spanglish now after having our conversation with Steven saying that, hey, we've got Latinos and Hispanics just jumping out of our crops apparently on different people's land. So I want to remind you, if you want to email into the show, very easy to do. Email us studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. I want to say thank you to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring the studio email inbox. Right now, they're doing what's called the Tough Love event. It's a beautiful afternoon today, but you and I both know the snow and the slush is coming. So you want to prepare now. Get your boots ready to go. Take care of them so as they start getting wet, you can feel like, hey, I'm doing the right thing to take care of these beautiful Red Wing Shoes work boots. $20 right now off on any boot purchase. Also $10 on care items with your boot purchase. $10, I should say, off. And then 15% off all care items for those beautiful Red Wing Shoe work boots. Go check them out. 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. All right, we told you just a little bit ago that Keith Ellison, he is sweating. You know he's sweating when he's calling up Bernie Sanders to fly into Minnesota and to go stump for him in Duluth and Minneapolis, let alone they're bringing in the squad. So he's sweating with Sanders, he's sweating with the squad, and the person that's making him sweat is Jim Schultz. Boy, that is a lot of alliterations. He's running for AG on the GOP side, and he's joining us right now. Mr. Schultz, welcome to the show. It's great to have you, sir. Oh, I guess we don't have him. I thought we had him. So we need to work on that, guys. So we'll get that figured out. Then we're going to back up, and I do want to play a little bit more for you. I've got the polling data for you, and also I want to play a little bit from the New York City Mayor just to give you some numbers of what exactly he's talking about when he says, hey, we've got to have this emergency situation in the city of New York. Keep in mind, right now, down at the southern border, Greg Abbott has declared it an invasion. Like, it is an invasion of our nation. That is exactly where the Texas governor's at. You're talking about 7,000 migrants a day showing up at the southern border. Here's a little bit about what the New York City Mayor Adams said earlier today about this emergency.
National problem. More than 17,000 asylum seekers, mostly from South America, have been bused directly to New York City from our southern border since April of this year.
I shouldn't laugh, but Come on. 17,000 people since April, and he's declaring it an emergency for the city of New York when the state of Texas has got 7,000 a day. They've had 2 million migrants that they've, been in contact with just in this fiscal year. Think about that. That is almost 3 times the size of the entire state of North Dakota. All right, join us now. We do have him, Jim Schultz. Jim, welcome to the show. I was just talking about how Jim Schultz has Keith Ellison sweating when he's calling up Bernie Sanders and the squad to go out and stump for him. I was like, boy, that's a lot of alliterations, but I like it. So welcome to the show, sir.
It's great to be on with you, Chris. Thanks for the opportunity. And you're right. It is. It's crazy. I mean, we've got an attorney general who is the most extreme attorney general in the country, and you would think he might be trying to downplay that a little bit to try to help his reelection prospects. But no, he's leading into it. He's out there campaigning with America's socialist senator and the extreme defund the police advocate Ilhan Omar and all these other extremists. And so we're going to continue holding him accountable for that and every other kooky thing he's been out there doing.
I want to get into the polling here in a moment, but just because we're talking about, I'm sure you saw the news, New York City Mayor declares an emergency in the city of New York because of 17,000 refugee, asylum seekers, immigrants coming into the city there. I think it's fair to say that every state right now is a border state when we've been inundated with 2 million immigrants. So if you're elected as the Attorney General of Minnesota, what are you going to do about all the illegal immigration that obviously is coming into Minnesota as well, one way or another?
Well, we have to, broadly, whether it be on violent crime or nonprofit fraud or immigration, we've got to enforce the law. We have to enforce the law. And the fact is, we have had people from the federal government on to state governments on down who have made a habit of ignoring the law that's on the books. And we can't have that. We're a nation of laws, and we have to ensure that the law is enforced. And that includes partnering with federal authorities who are their primary enforcement arm for our immigration laws. And to the extent the state is called upon to be to ensure that that we're enforcing immigration law, we have to do that. I mean, we have to ensure that whether it be the folks not being held accountable for the violent crime on Minneapolis streets or the nonprofit dollars going out the door illegally, or that we're enforcing the law. And right now we don't have an AG that does that on so many issues, and it's just absolutely unacceptable.
Now, as I'm sure you know, he suggested, hey, look, Mr. Schultz, there's only so much I can do as the AG. That's really up to the county attorneys, district attorneys to take care of this crime and safety situation. He's not really there to prosecute those things. So how does that shift if Jim Schultz is the AG of Minnesota? How do you start to lower? Violent crime's up 21% in Minnesota this year.
Yeah, just this year. That's right. And during Keith Ellison's time in office, up 63%. And so there's a number of things we can do. Keith Ellison, he's lying. He's saying that the AG can't do anything on violent crime. It's completely false. Number one, the AG has direct authority under RICO, which is frequently implicated in a lot of our serious violent crime cases. And so the AG has a direct authority to bring those cases. Keith Ellison has brought 0 of those cases. And so he's got direct authority there, and he can be a real support for county attorneys around the state who are dealing with an incredible increase in violent crime, incredible increase in drug crime, fentanyl crisis, and otherwise. And he has it. This Attorney General's office has been completely missing in action. And the other thing this Attorney General's office has done, in addition to not prosecuting folks, is it's undermined law enforcement. It has vilified police, slandered police. Keith Ellison has gotten behind the defund the police movement. Got behind the movement to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. And that is an absolute outrage. And part of the reason why we have police forces that are shrinking, people leaving the profession and so forth, is these so-called public leaders like in the Minneapolis City Council and others who have made it their life's mission to slander and vilify police. And that is an absolute disgrace. And so we're going to set the tone from the top. We're going to use the bully pulpit of the Attorney General's office to articulate and communicate to people that law enforcement is critical to the future of Minnesota. It's critical to the future of our country. These are real public servants. These are heroes. They deserve our support and respect. And we absolutely have to set the right tone from the top in the state of Minnesota, in addition to making sure that we're impressively prosecuting violent crime.
You know what's amazing, Mr. Schultz, is everything you're saying. By the way, if you're just joining us, Jim Schultz, he's running for the Attorney General's office in Minnesota on the GOP side. Everything you just said, I think for most people is common sense, and yet coming from someone in the state of Minnesota, it sounds like a foreign language. It's incredible what you're saying. And so Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it sounds novel these days when so much of the politics in Minnesota has gone to the extreme left. And whether it be Keith Ellison or Ilhan Omar or Mary Moriarty, this terrible prosecutor running in Hennepin County. I mean, these far left radicals that are governing so much of our state, and we can't have it. We can't have it. We have to have responsible public servants and people who understand things like, we got to ensure that violent criminals go to prison. People who understand that cops are the heroes, not the villains. And so you're right. Unfortunately, common sense is becoming increasingly uncommon in lots of parts of Minnesota.
If you're just joining us, new poll came out from KSTP. Jim Schultz within 2 points, 45-43 from Keith Ellison. I mean, Keith Ellison is sweating. I'm telling you. That's why he's calling up Bernie Sanders in the squad. And the other key piece of this data point from the poll is 13% undecided. So he's really got an opportunity. I think probably be the first statewide win since like 2006 if you can pull this off. We'll get to the poll. Actually, I've got just about a minute and a half left, Jim. I want to give you a chance to speak to. Here you've got Feeding Our Future, $250 million in fraud. Keith Ellison sits on his hands, yet he's out there attacking small business owners during the COVID lockdown. What say you?
Well, it's incredible. I mean, yeah, you're right. Attacking small business owners. There's violent crime ravaging our streets, while there's tens of millions going out the door. We need an attorney general that's focused on the right things. And we have to ensure that we're focused on violent crime. That we're focused on ensuring that tens of millions are not stolen from taxpayers that are meant for kids' meals. Right now, we've got an AG that's focused on, suing small businesses, suing energy companies over climate change, all these far left pet causes, and not the fundamentals of the job. And it's an absolute disgrace because Minnesotans are getting shot on Minnesota streets because of his recklessness, because of his extremism. And we absolutely can't have it going forward.
Jim, you're you're right there. So if people want to find out more about your campaign, donate, where can they go?
Yeah, it's Jim for MNAG, Jim, FORMNAG.com. And any support folks can provide would be wonderful. We're on track to make history, and we have to get it done. Failure is absolutely not an option.
Jim Schultz, really appreciate the time, sir. Keep up the great work. I know we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Again, Jim Schultz running for AG in Minnesota. He is making Keith Ellison sweat. Can I get some Keith sweat to make him sweat? When we come back, it's a Feel Good Friday. We got a special guest about that and much more coming up right after this.
Mainly clear throughout this evening with wind turning out of the west-southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour. We'll see clear to partly cloudy skies. Continue throughout tonight with low temperatures dipping down towards 33 degrees and will warm into the mid-60s on your Saturday. Mostly sunny with increasing clouds throughout the day and a west wind around 5 to 15. Breezy on Sunday, partly cloudy. Highs are closer to 60. From a Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Have you been looking for a golf cart for the lake, the cabin, or the course? Now is the time. The largest selection of club car onwards within 150 miles are available now at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 48 months on 2022 and 23 club car onwards. 2023 lifted's not included. All inventory must go, so hurry in and take advantage. The largest selection of club cars. And at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
Hi, Lacey here with Precision Concrete Cutters. You've heard our ads about egress windows. They add sunlight, they provide an escape and add value to your home. All true, but I'd like to let you in on a little secret. You can add an egress window anywhere, even if there's no existing window. I know this because at Precision Concrete Cutters, we specialize in egress window installation and replacement. Precision Concrete Cutters, 701-280-7038. That's 280-7038.
Brian Feuder with the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program.
NDSCS's apprenticeship program is really based on the typical apprenticeship models that have been in existence for many years. But currently there are over 1,000 apprenticeable occupations that are recognized by the United States Department of Labor.
Hi, I'm Dixie Bope. I'm the Director of Nursing at Four Seasons Healthcare Center. I encourage other companies to use the NDSCS
apprenticeship program. They have a personal relationship with you. They help you out with advertising. They help bringing in new candidates, interviews, getting the word out.
Hi, my name is Pamela Morrow, Project Specialist for NDSCS Apprenticeship. If you're interested in a program, please reach out today by calling 701-231-6927 or go online to ndscs.edu/workforce-affairs and click on the Apprenticeship North Dakota tab.
See if the NDSCS apprenticeship program is for you.
Download the app, sign up, and say bye-bye, bugs. Tommy's Express Car Wash is that easy. Tommy's offers a cleaner car wash and an overall better experience. Wash your car as often as needed. And the best part, after 3 washes, it pays for itself, and you can use it at all 3 other FM locations. Download the app, pre-buy, and skip the line. Or stop by one of their 3 locally owned Tommy's Express Car Wash locations. Tommy's Express Car Wash. Love your ride.
Business owners, you know how important a high-quality website is for the success of your business, but how well is your current site performing? This is Jake from OnSharp, and I want to let you know about a new tool we created that will instantly scan your website and give you insight into your site's speed, security, and SEO. Run your company's free scan today at scan.onsharp.com, and you'll get a grade in each area, as well as actionable steps you can take to make your site faster, safer, and more effective. Again, that's scan.onsharp.com.
Hey, Chris Berg here. Wants to know PetroServe USA has got some outstanding car washes, and it's just that time of year. The roads get a little bit slushy and sloppy, and clearly that shows up on your car. Here is some great news for you. On Tuesdays at PetroServe USA, buy 1 car wash, get the second one free. How great is the word free? Buy 1, get 1 free on Tuesdays for your car wash at PetroServe USA.
Friday, I'm in love. Monday, you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Oh, Thursday doesn't even start. It's Friday, I'm in love.
Yes, it is finally Friday. That means it's also a feel-good Friday, thanks to Dakota Medical Foundation and Giving Hearts Day. We all know Giving Hearts Day and the tremendous impact that has on our community and, of course, our hearts. We all know it's better to give than it is to receive. So every Friday, we like to focus on some nonprofits in our community that are making a tremendous, tremendous impact within our community. Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. It's your daily dose of truth to help set you free. We got a fun program and project and nonprofit to share with you today. One that I wish I knew a lot more about than I just found out more about today. It's called Bison Stride. You get to go out and have horses make a difference in people's lives. And the director's with us today, Erica Berg. And great to see you, and happy Feel Good Friday.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So I'm embarrassed a bit. I didn't really know much about Bison Strides until I had a chance to visit with you. So what is it? And I always like to ask people, like, what's the problem that you're solving within our community?
Sure. Yeah. So thinking about when we visited earlier and you asked me that question about the problem that we're solving. So when I think about what Bison Strides is doing, the problems we're solving of connection and access to the world. And we do that by partnering horses and humans through 4 different equine assisted services programs at NDSU.
And what are the 4?
Yeah, so we have our adapted horsemanship. So this is horseback riding for individuals with different disabilities or mental health needs. And we maybe just need to adapt the tack or equipment, the support they need to be as independent as possible on the horse. We also have an equine assisted learning program, and that is for youth age 7 to 17, working on social, emotional, behavioral challenges. So social emotional learning, which is kind of a key catchphrase these days, but we're really able to get into some great stuff with the horses. We also have a veterans program that's a ground-based program, working with our veterans. Many of them who have PTSD are coming back from different eras of combat, or just time in the service, and working through some different things. And then we also partner with Beyond Boundaries Therapy Services, and they offer physical and occupational therapy that incorporates movement of the horse into treatment.
So I'm going to apologize for some of my ignorant questions.
It's okay. No, go ahead.
I love horses. I'm not around them much, but when I am, there's just that affinity for them. And yet what makes them so magical? I mean, for you to say, hey, Chris, vets come back.
Right.
They're challenged with PTSD. We put them around the horse and magic happens. What is
Right.
that?
Right. Well, so the horse does, I think there's like three things I think about when I think about the horses in situations when we're working with our veterans. So the first thing is the horse isn't judging the person, right? They're not judging what you did or what happened in your life or how you walk or the clothes that you wear. Like they don't care about any of that. They just want to know that they're safe with you, right? The other thing is that horses are super in tune to their surroundings. They're really good at reading the body language of everything around them. So whether that's a horse or a dog or a human, because if they don't do that, they get eaten, right? In their survival, like they're a prey animal. And so they have to be really good at that. Humans aren't really good at that. Like we think we're really good at reading the body language of other people, but we're really not. Horses are fantastic at that because their survival depends on it. And then the other thing is just the fact that a horse lives in the moment. Like they're not wondering about what happened at the round bale, this morning with Blondie or what's going to happen tomorrow at the riding lesson. They don't do that. They just
There's no water cooler talk.
No, there's no water cooler talk with the horses, not that we're aware of, right? And so they really demand then that we also be in the moment because they're 1,200-pound animals, and if you're not paying attention, they're gonna request that you pay attention.
But how does that shift or change my PTSD? I guess
Yeah.
that's what I don't get.
Okay, that's a great question. And so thinking about that, so when folks are working with horses, a horse is going to respond to your energy or your behavior, your mannerism. So if you're coming into the barn and you're frustrated and you're anxious and you're feeling distressed, the horse can tell that by the way that you're moving into the arena. So that if we say, okay, we're going to turn the horses out and we'll have everybody go catch your horse. If one of the folks comes in, one of our veterans comes in and they're super maybe ramped up and anxious, the horse is going to respond to that. So it might be harder to catch the horse, right? Because they don't want to be around that because that says something bad could happen. And I don't want to be around something bad that's going to happen. And so what that allows the veteran or the participant to do is to kind of take a moment, right? And recognize, because they probably aren't even aware of what's happening in their body at that time because of the trauma they've experienced. Or if they are aware of it, they don't know they're not able to rein it in or to figure that out. And so what the horse can do is to provide that feedback that's not threatening, right? Like it's not a human going, well, I can see you're really upset or I can see you're really frustrated. We can talk about what Pepper's doing. Like it looks like Pepper's, kind of ramped up today. I wonder what's going on with her. So we can make it be about the horse, and it doesn't have to be about the person, right? It doesn't have to be about the veteran and what they're experiencing. And they can kind of, they can work through that with the horses and just that connection that they're able to establish, things that they can tell the horse maybe that other people don't want to hear, or they've tried to tell people, and the response they get, right, is maybe not what they need or what they're looking for. And so just sharing the burden with another living being that doesn't have to be a person can be a really powerful experience for some of the folks that come out to Bison Stride.
So there's just that magical thing that maybe we can't explain, but you just know when it happens. Yeah.
I mean, you can tell, like I can kind of tell when we get out to the barn, when someone walks into the arena, whether it's a veteran with PTSD or a college student, right, how their day is going, by the way the horse is responding to their movements. And so they're just incredible, like conduits for healing. And it's just really cool experience. And then we also do know there's physiological things that are happening. Like when we're petting a horse or grooming the horse, that brings our stress hormones down, like our cortisol and our those bad hormones that we think about. If they're secreted too much all the time, they're not good. And it also then lowers our blood pressure. It can help reduce our heart rate. It can help to have good hormones or neurotransmitters being secreted in the brain. And so if folks are then able to kind of remember that, and we've even taken a little bit of a braid of one of the horse's tail and they could just keep it in their pocket. And then if they're starting to feel anxious or nervous out in the world, grab a hold of that little piece of braided horsehair and just try to remember what they felt like and what it was like to be with the horse. And then they're able to move through the world a little bit easier, right, than they were before. So
if you're just joining us, it's a Feel Good Friday thanks to Dakota Medical Foundation and Giving Hearts Day. With us right now, we've got Erica Berg. She's the program director at Bison Stride. Is equine therapy the appropriate way to?
Oh, equine assisted services technically, and then we've got some different categories underneath that. So,
Okay.
Yep.
And how does Giving Hearts Day impact your organization, thus impacting the? And I guess maybe I should back up for veterans that are listening.
Yeah.
They're like, that sounds interesting. Do they just call you and?
They can, yeah. So if they go to bisonstrides.org, so on our website, we've got the different programs that we have. And then there is Veterans and Military Horsemanship Program, and our contact information is on there, and they can go there and reach out via email, via phone, via.
And is it free for them, or is that where Giving Hearts Day comes in?
Yeah.
It is.
So actually,
Wow.
our Veterans and Military Program, there's no charge to service members or veterans. We do charge for our other programs, but we also have financial assistance for anybody. But again, there is no charge for the military horsemanship.
And that's where Giving Hearts Day comes in, I presume.
That's where Giving Hearts Day comes in. Yeah. So Giving Hearts Day is, we wouldn't be here without Giving Hearts Day, honestly. And so even though we're a part of the Department of Animal Sciences at NDSU, we still have to do our own. We have to support all of our own horses. We have to support, staffing, tack, equipment, all that stuff. And so Giving Hearts Day is integral for our existence, really. And so our biggest, greatest expenses are the horses. So that is about $50,000 to $60,000 a year to support all of our horses.
Wow.
Yeah, I know they're not cheap, but the experiences that people are able to get. I mean, many folks who come, particularly people who have mental health, and a lot of our veterans, nothing has worked. And I don't want to say that it fixes everything, right? It makes everything better, but it oftentimes can help where other things haven't. And we've had case managers call and say, "What are you guys doing at the barn?" I'm like, "They're just hanging out with Cutter." And there's more to it than that. But I mean, really, it's just the horses that are doing that work, and the folks, actually the veterans too, that are coming out and doing the work with the horses for themselves. So that's also really cool. Yeah.
All right. So for veterans that are listening, or anybody that maybe wants to support your organization, what are some needs you have now, and how can they go about doing that?
Yeah. So we always take monetary donations, of course, because again, we have to support the horses financially as well as our veterans programs. But we have tack equipment purchases. There's different levels of sponsorship that folks can do for horses or participants. We're always looking for volunteers as well to come out. We require horse handlers. We need sidewalkers for some of our programs. We're looking for horses, sound, meaning not lame. They can breathe really well. They don't have breathing problems as well, because we always are looking for great horses as well. So,
Erica Berg, Bison Strides. Thank you. What's the website?
www.bisonstrides.org.
Bisonstrides.org. Check them out. Thanks for being in here. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Great stuff. All right. Thank you again to Dakota Medical Foundation and Giving Hearts Day, helping our veterans with horses. Great stuff. Stick around. We come back. Huge event coming up on Sunday. I'll tell you where and why right after this. Stay with us.
I'm John Hoven, candidate for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Farmers and ranchers in North Dakota help feed and fuel the world, and John Hoven's been right there with us.
As a leader on the Senate Ag Committee, John will be writing the next farm bill.
And John's made sure that crop insurance, disaster assistance, and emergency livestock relief were available when we needed them most.
Bottom line, no one works harder for North Dakota farmers and ranchers than John Hoven.
John Hoven works for North Dakota.
Paid for by Hoven for Senate.
Not scary. This haunted house is boring. Dude, chainsaw murderers are so 1980s. This Halloween, nothing is as scary as a leaky roof right before winter. So get your roof redone as soon as possible before it gives you eternal nightmares. Visit FargoRoofing.com to schedule your roof replacement today. By the way, dude, you totally scream like your girl.
Fargo Roofing is siding.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or are experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, call us right now before it's too late at 701-929-7505. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and it can lead lead to amputation. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from their neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-929-7505. Call us today at Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic at 701-929-7505 today.
Employers, does the competitive job market have you down? Now more than ever, make certain your pay and benefits are competitive, and High Road Partners can help. High Road Partners is a full-service employee benefits brokerage and HR firm serving small businesses in the region, helping you design a strategy to attract and retain talented employees, locally owned and operated. Let's succeed together. Visit highroadpartners.com today. highroadpartners.com.
The University of Mary's Ham School of Engineering, named after Harold Ham, our generous supporter and the pioneer of the Bakken Formation, prepares students for successful careers and fulfilling lives. We offer degrees to support the industry's most pressing needs and designed our curriculum with feedback from the region's most notable firms. The School of Engineering is committed to preparing graduates who are both professionally excellent and community-minded servant leaders. Learn more at umary.edu/engineering.
Favorite song that we love to sing. Every time we hear the music, and we're in this love together. We got the kind that lasts forever.
Man, I could just let this play. Friday, heading into the weekend. Woo! Here on a Feel Good Friday. Well done. Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to set you free. We're going to talk about an event coming up on Sunday I want to invite you out to that hopefully you're going to be like, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. I want to be a part of that. But also, I'm sure you saw the news today. Job numbers come out and the market went down. Let's just put it that way, right? So job numbers come out, weren't what they expected, but still the job market actually is staying pretty strong right now. And you've seen the Feds continually try to raise rates and do things to slow this thing down as far as the job market and inflation. I don't know if we're going to see that data now for quite some time. And the reason you see the markets go down is because with the job numbers today still being fairly strong, unemployment at 3.5%, it is almost a guarantee that the Federal Reserve in November is going to raise the rates again, another 75 basis points, and then probably do it again in December to put us above 4% is where Wall Street really thought we should be. Now, I bring all this up because I think it's a great opportunity for you to get yourself educated as you see the markets going down about decentralized finance. We've talked about it a lot here on the show. It may not be the right fit for you. This is not financial advice, and yet I think it's a time in the world right now. I mean, CBDCs are starting to be utilized in Israel, and some different nations are bringing those out. Those are basically central government digital currencies. But do yourself a favor, go to reaper.financial. Again, reaper.financial. Patrick there, more than happy to sit down with you, visit about what's going on within decentralized, they call it DeFi, decentralized financial space. But very, very important, at least to have an idea of what's happening in that arena. All right, I want to talk about an event on Sunday, and then I know super producer Chris Larson wants to do a little bit of Friday Night Lights as well. But hey, Sunday, 4 p.m., if you're down in southeastern North Dakota, come hang out. Senator John Hoeven and I are going to be doing the District 24 Republicans. It's the 11th annual Fall Roundup and Pie Auction. I hear the food is phenomenal. So if you're going to be around on Sunday, social kicks off at 4 o'clock. We got smoked brisket, supper to follow. It's at the Sandager Park in Lisbon, North Dakota. Sandager Park in Lisbon. Senator John Hoeven's going to be the keynote there. And then I'm going to share a few thoughts, ideas after Senator Hoeven. We're going to focus on, wait for it, this might get me taken off the air if I actually say this out loud. So we'll see what happens. But they may kick me off the air if I say this. But we're going to talk about 3 things. Hopefully this isn't going to ruin any FCC regulations if I say this. Hopefully they're going to keep me on the air. But the three things we're going to talk about: God, family, and country. God, family, and country. In many places now, that will get you kicked off social media, kicked off the air, but not here on AM 1100 The Flag. Super producer Chris Larson is in shock that, yes, God, family, country is going to be part of the conversation on Sunday.
How dare you?
I know. It's staggering, right? Like, what am I talking about?
Right?
So you got little Friday Night Lights going on tonight, my friend?
We do. We got a big matchup up here in Mayville. It's actually it's the battle for the number 1 seed. Maple River comes into town, takes on Mayport CG. Neither team has lost a game in the region. Huge matchup. Mayport CG, they're coming in on a 1-game winning streak. They beat Enderlin last weekend. They've outscored their opponents 321-98. I'm so thrilled to watch this game. Maple River, they're coming in also on a 2-game winning streak, and they've outscored their opponents 210-149. The thing about this game up here tonight, Chris, is the weather is not going to play a factor. The last 2 home games, we've had rain, we've had wind. It is crystal clear tonight. I am so excited because we're getting down to playoff time here in a matter of weeks.
It's crazy that it's hard to believe that we're already kind of coming up on playoff time for high school football, but there's nothing better on a night like tonight. It's a little bit crisp, but it's clear, and it's Friday Night Lights. We all know what that means. Throw it deep and throw it often. Super producer Chris Larson, we appreciate it very much. Chris, I know you've been booking somebody for Monday. We've got Alex Newman. What can you tell us about Alex for Monday's show?
Oh, Alex Newman. I mean, what is there to not say about Alex? I'm just so excited to have him on our show and talk about a big conference coming up in Bismarck.
September 15th. Yes, there's a big gender theory conference. Alex Newman writes for Epic Times, but done a really good job sort of, helping to educate people around. It's a tough conversation these days. I mean, you just, we created some spots to promote this gender theory conference, and we have like a voiceover group that we work with. And so I sent it over twice. I had people that would not cut the spot because this topic is just such a fiery topic. This whole gender theory, LGBTQ conversation. So Alex Newman's going to join us, and we're going to talk about, hey, look, if you really want to get yourself empowered around how do you have these conversations, because it can be delicate for some people. He's going to give us some tips on that, and obviously talk about what you're going to learn on the 15th as well out in Bismarck. Happy Feel Good Friday. Thanks again to Dakota Medical Foundation and Giving Hearts Day for sponsoring our great segments we do every single Friday. This is the Chris Berg Show. I love you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday at 4.